I really do believe that we come here to experience the fullness of life, and that includes hard shit. And the idea is not to live such a small life that you're trying to eliminate the hard things. And I think a lot of people get themselves into that scenario where they play really small, and they play really safe, and they play a really small game in a small pond. And they forget, it's like, you're not a fucking tadpole. You are a goddamn fucking, like, you, whatever you want to be.
Whale, shark, or whatever.
Octopus. Yeah, totally. Like, we forget though, right? Because it's scarier. And
we're back.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the podcast.
No one's letting you forget in the club. That is for fucking sure.
Are you in lots and lots of pain? How bad is the pain?
Fuck you fucking asshat.
Having fun dancing in the floor.
Number one, why am I calling you? Number two, you ruined everything.
Oh, so good. Hi, Meow Meow.
oh fuck, what was that?
Oh, who knows? Who knows with the two of us? It's always a nice, pleasant surprise what happens at the start of a podcast. But I'm into it. I'm so into it
too. You know what? I feel soft. I feel buttery. I feel buttery right now. I feel like you and I are buttery is good, and I feel like we're gonna take all y'all listeners today on a bit of a journey into the Arctic, through the Arctic, and out.
You're Frosty the Snowman.
We're gonna take you into the Florida beaches so you can kick back, relax under the sun.
They're like, what the fuck is this podcast about?
It's going to be a good one. Bear with us, because I'm telling you right now, this podcast episode, I can feel it, is going to change your life, and it's going to change. Like, I'm actually feel like I can boldly say that right now, because I can tell you and I are like, I can feel the energy between you and I like stirring right now about what we decided we were going to talk about. And I feel like this is going to be one of those podcasts that like really hits a lot of people right in the fucking heart, right in the like depths of your soul. So keep listening is all I'll say. Not to toot our own horns.
Yeah, but just don't turn it off, because we're going somewhere special today. And I mean, this topic has obviously been up for me, but it's also been a theme of my life. And we're going to be talking today about the process of de-armoring your heart. And as someone who had, and if you've listened to our podcast for a while now, you've probably heard the previous episodes where we've talked about some of this de-icing and thawing out, and especially like a recent thaw out that I had a couple months ago. And like we understand this journey that a lot of women go through, but it's not just women. Like, I was having a conversation with someone this morning, and he was saying the same thing. Like, there's this kind of lone wolf. I got to do it all myself, and I have to, kind of carry the weight of the world on my shoulders. And I think that's true for a lot of men, and it's true for a lot of women. And we have these walls that we build up around our hearts. And then at the same time, we want to live this very rich, vibrant, thriving life and have delicious love and relationships. But like, there's nowhere for that to land. There's nowhere for it to click in when the heart is iced over. So we're going to dive into it today, and like trusting yourself and trusting other people and trusting yourself specifically to open your heart again. And I'm just so pumped to see where this takes us.
I feel like we're like a softy bear unhinged day. Like, a lot of times we come on the podcast and we're like in the zone and we're off the rails and we're saying all sorts of fucking weird shit.
Nonsense.
Nonsense. And today feels like one of those, I don't know, it's just like I can feel the like anchoredness in my seat even right now. I can feel like where you and I are going with this. And it's like a tender unhinged. It's like, and that is Club Unhinged, actually. I just want to name that. When you hear the word unhinged, people are using it now, and we're noticing it a lot more being spoken about, which is really exciting for us. And I think a lot of people think unhinged as like off the rails, a bit of a loose cannon, not grounded, not anchored. Yeah, like like being nuts. And we see it totally different. Unhinged is free from conditioning, and it is like really the unraveling process that happens when you come home to who the fuck you actually are. And it's unhinging from the expectations, the stories, the narratives, the old programming, the like really deep ingrained neural pathways that keep people so boxed in these tiny little lives. And so, and being unhinged is really, we see it in a beautiful context of like coming home to who you fucking are, expanding, becoming the conscious creator of your own life and designing a life that sets your fucking soul on fire. And hopefully your titties too. And whatever else
Zing,
you're
zing.
working with.
There it is.
Zing, zing. There it is. No, but for realsies, and I think that, like you said, Kelsey and I have both experienced crazy shutdown of our heart, crazy betrayal, in business, in relationship, in so many different ways. And I can fully say I was part of like Heart Closed Anonymous, like for sure. I mean, I was like, my heart was on lockdown.
Yeah, the Closed
In fact,
Heart
I think
Club.
I said this on Closed Heart Club. I remember saying this actually to Mark Groves. We had Mark Groves on the podcast, and I think it was on the podcast, or it was one you and I were riffing on. I remember sharing about how he fucking annoyed the shit out of me.
Oh, yeah.
Because he's like, hey, Bano, how's your heart? And I was like, what the fucking stupid ass question is that? I remember thinking like, oh, cool.
Get fucked.
I didn't say that to him, but I was thinking in my mind, I'm like, get fucking gross. Like, what kind of stupid question is that? It actually made me, it elicited like a fucking rage response. And I was like, whoa, like, what is that all about?
Yeah.
And I was like, it's just such a fucking stupid question. And of course, I went on a journey after that of realizing how just shut down I was. I always considered myself somebody who was really open and loving and caring, which I'm not saying I wasn't, but when I was open and loving and caring in scenarios I could control.
Yes.
And I was open and loving and caring in scenarios, where I was really heavily in control and didn't threaten me and weren't like really deeply romantic or anything like that. And so for the last, I don't even know how many years, I'd say probably like, especially in the last like 3 years or so, there's been a crazy, I call it defrosting. It's like for so many years, so many awful experiences happened. And understanding the nervous system more, like I didn't have capacity. I was in complete overwhelm and shut down and disassociation. So life would happen, a really hard scenario would happen, and I put it on ice. I can't, essentially it's just saying I can't deal with this right now. I don't know how to deal with it. I'm already overwhelmed. So let's just throw that on ice. And, but eventually what happens one day is you go to the freezer and the freezer spills
Fucking
out
full.
everything. Everything is been on ice, and it's like, ma'am, I love you, but you got to fucking deal with some of this shit. And so there was like a really coming home and a defrosting process where it's like, if you imagine something defrosting, you crank the heat starts to melt the ice, but what you're left with, and this is what a lot of people experience on the journey of personal development and spirituality, is that once you start cranking the heat, the ice starts melting. But what comes out comes all the unprocessed emotions. It comes all the pain and suffering and so people think sometimes personal development is, they get to a certain point and then their protective parts take over and kind of shut it down. So this is why co-regulation and support, having a community, is so important to help that journey, because I know for me that happened over and over again. I would try to process some of the pain, didn't have the right support in place, my protective parts would take over, and I'd get really busy, I'd start burning out again, it would throw me into dysregulation, which showed up like working a lot and avoiding conversations, and just sort of like kept going back. So it's like I kept being like, oh, I thought let's freeze this again, put this back on ice. But what that does is when we unfortunately can't just gray out one part of our life, we sort of say, okay, it's kind of on or off. And so if we shut down love in one area, we kind of shut it down in a lot of areas, and we stop trusting people, we stop trusting life, we stop feeling optimistic and inspired and excited, and we go into like really defense mode. Like if somebody's playing a game, you're no longer in offense trying to win anything, you're trying to go into defense and just try to avoid and mitigate pain. And I think a lot of the collective is there right now, and this is why I think it's important you and I share our stories vulnerably and openly and in a raw place, because the process of defrosting can be really hard and challenging at times. And we want to normalize it and say like, yeah, it can be crazy, and we've got you. And this is some of the tools and things that we did to help us defrost so we can open our hearts and become magnetic as fuck and design this fucking dream life of ours that we have.
Mm-hmm. And like the thing to keep in mind when you start defrosting and all of this old material comes up, the only way that that material can come up is if you've actually established a baseline of safety and security already in your life. So if that's happening, it's actually like you need to take a beat and you need to take a moment and actually acknowledge and appreciate yourself for whatever you have done up until this point, because it's actually created enough safety and stability in order to begin to turn on the heat, to begin the defrosting process. You will never begin the defrosting process until you're actually in a place of safety and stability. So that alone is just a massive win to celebrate that I think people just glaze over. They don't recognize that is happening, and that's actually what's created the conditions for them to even do this work in the first place. And I think if we acknowledge that spot, that you've actually done quite a bit to support yourself and to stabilize yourself and to surround yourself with people, places, support systems, tools, technologies that are actually like holding a very strong foundation for you so that you can go into this next level of the journey. I think if people understood that, potentially the next legs of the journey wouldn't be so confronting, because you're already clocking like, oh shit, I've done a lot and like a lot of good stuff to get to this point. Like, good job me. And when I can recognize those wins and those threads, then it actually starts building more of that self-trust. Because if you're constantly looking for how you're not making the mark, or you're not leveling up, or you're, not doing the thing, or you're looking for everything that's wrong with what you're doing, you're breaking the foundational trust you with yourself. Like, you're not going to trust yourself to move forward if you're constantly picking at yourself. And for a lot of us who may have grown up in hypercritical environments, your inner dialogue is likely going to reflect that. Your inner dialogue is going to default to what's not working, what's wrong, looking for, all of the ways you've fallen short. And that is not going to help you build a foundation that allows you to trust yourself to move forward into the unknown. Because this whole process that we're talking about will literally catapult you into the unknown. So if you have a compromised relationship with the unknown, the first place we want to kind of tend to is your relationship to even just tracking how far you've come. If you can track how far you've come and give yourself credit for that, you instantly reboot self-trust. Like, it's not something that takes years to lock in. Like, if you make a habit of looking at all the things that you've done that got you to this point where you can even begin a defrosting, you're already rebooting self-trust. And when that self-trust is rebooted, you're going to feel more comfortable either like unplugging the deep freeze and letting it all thaw out, or like turning on the heat in the room and turning up the heat in your life to begin that thaw out process. So I just wanted to name that because it's such an important thread when we begin this process.
Kelsey, take us to church again. Tell me more. Yeah, I love that. I think there's a lot of, actually on the Daily Coaching Club today, the episode was around, we don't need to go into this too much, but around personal development and how we can use it as escapism and a way to make ourselves wrong. And I know a lot of people have a kind of a funny relationship with the journey, the journey of personal development, the journey of just self-discovery, the journey of expansion. And I just love that it's painting a really beautiful picture, and it is really important, like you said, that the only material that's going to start to bubble up looking for reconciliation and love and compassion is going to do so if we do feel safe. And that it's in itself is a huge feat. It means that you're moving out of any type of survival mode or lockdown. That your system's actually cueing, your environment is cueing that you're safer to start looking at this stuff. Totally. Right? If we're a deer in the wild and we're being hunted or we feel threatened, it's not going to be a time to be like, let's just take a pause, dear.
Let's look at our wounds.
Totally. Are you feeling a little bit sad today? It would be like, get the fuck out of my face. I am being hunted. Get out of here, right? So it does show that's a huge piece. And I think a lot of people can relate to this. I know, women in the club have expressed this. You and I's private clients have expressed this. You and I have expressed this. We've really noticed that there's a lot of women and men, right? It's both, but we work more so with women in the club, and there's just a really deep desire. I think people are starting to understand that they do even have more shutdown in their heart space. They do have stuff, that patterns and ways of being that they're starting to become conscious of that are holding them back, right? If we have a closed heart, that often shows up as not trusting people. Right? That shows up as not trusting life. It shows up in shadow. It shows up in projection onto others that don't deserve it. Because it's like, we've had a lot of wounding and we've closed down our heart. Think of the heart. I mean, I can't remember the math, but it's like, or the science behind it, but it's like the heart is like, I can't remember how much more power, like the magnetic field around the heart versus the brain is like fucking like,
you can't even compare
100 times. You can't even compare it. The heart is like the magnet, right? And so we wonder oftentimes why we don't feel magnetic, why we don't feel abundant, why we don't feel in flow. It's like, well, no shit. How can we expect ourselves to feel that way?
Your heart's
the manifestation world says, have a better feeling thought and just think good things, and it's like all your pain,
just
your whole
bypass it all.
Bypassing the heart's like, good. I'm just gonna. It's like shriveled down, right? And I remember hearing something one time, and I loved it. I think it was Melanie on Lair, and she said, like, a heart cannot be broken. It can only, just like it's a heart is a muscle, and so it can be like strained, but when it comes back, it's stronger. So it's like built back through the muscle, just like when you go to the gym, like a muscle grows. And I was just like, oh, I love that reframe. And right now I'm just noticing there's a lot of people wanting to do this work, and they sometimes don't even realize like how it's showing up and how much it's impacting their lives. And I know this, again, you and I work with a lot of entrepreneurs and people like that, and who are trying to build businesses and share their gifts with the world and share their magic, and they're wondering why they're having a hard time and they're burning out. And it's like, well, you don't trust anybody. You might hire somebody and then you don't trust them. So you do it all yourself. You burn out, you're overwhelmed, and then you can't self-actualize, right? It's a self-protective process. And there's so many pieces that go with that. But my invitation to anybody listening is like, you could even close your eyes right now and put your hand on your heart and ask yourself, like, 0 to 100. 0 is like, I am frigid as fuck and there is nothing getting through this. And like, it's like the size of a teeny tiny little pea or like a chia seed. Or 100% is like, I am in love with life and everything about it. My heart's fully open. Like, just close your eyes, put your hand on your heart and ask yourself, like, 0 to 100, very first number that comes in, how open is my heart right now? Go. Do this process.
Do it.
Don't sit here waiting for us to talk. Do the fucking process. If you're like, no, I'll do it later. No, do it now. Just stop. Put your hand on your heart. Just feel your heartbeat, feel your breath, and ask yourself, 0 to 100, very first number that comes in. Like, trust your intuition. What is the number? How open is your heart? And there's no good or bad. It's not like it's like, oh, well, this is good, this is bad. But we want to come into right relationship. And this is what we're doing in the club right now. And when it comes to money, we're in our money quarter right now. And we do this a lot in the club. We help people come into right relationship with the reality of their circumstances, because we can't manifest over shit, right? It can't be like, oh, well, that's uncomfortable, so let's sweep that under the rug and then we won't talk about it. We'll Febreze the shit out of it. But eventually the stench is going to come back and your carpet's going to start like rotting and you're going to be like, I know that shit's there, right? This is this is why this work is so important, is to come into right relationship with where you're at, how closed your heart is. You know, how is that possibly showing up? Getting curious around that. Like, wow, if I have a closed heart, I wonder how that's showing up in my relationships. I wonder how I'm being in business. I wonder how I'm being at work. I wonder how, you know, oftentimes we see ourselves in this light of like, no, I'm the good one. I'm the one who, like, you know, we're the main character of our own movie. We don't think about other people. We're thinking about ourselves all the time. So we think that we're hashtag open, vulnerable, you know, totally good. And then oftentimes we're so closed off, we don't even realize it. I remember the first time somebody told me, I was at that thing at Edgewood. It was like a partner and family of addicts. And like, I had to go to this week-long thing. And I remember one of the women being like, I feel like you're like really closed off. And I was like, excuse me? Like, I am the most open, loving person. I was not any of that. Totally, fuck you, bitch. I wasn't open. I wasn't connected. I'm so open. I was like a shell of a woman. I couldn't come into relationship with my reality, and I felt broken, right? And so that I assumed that I was showing up in a certain way, but people were were receiving me in a totally different way. So this work is really important.
It's the most important, I would say. Like, if you're going to walk a path of wanting to be fully alive in this lifetime, like if you are, I don't know how someone who wasn't walking that path could even possibly stumble across our podcast, but in the event that maybe that's happened, the only way that you actually get to that life where you get to feel fully alive is if you go through this initiation. And we are going to have so much residual backup that has been built up, and we do have to flush it out. We do have to, I know this is kind of a gross analogy, but like, it's kind of like the pipes being full of shit, and it's like hard and like solidified. And so you have to keep flushing it in order to finally clear that pipe and de-armor the heart of all of that shit that's been blocking the magnet that is your heart, as Christine said. You know, and so if you are walking this path and you know you're here to come fully alive, you are going to hit this inevitable juncture where things stop working. Or like, you may have had like a good couple years in business, and then all of a sudden it fucking flatlines. You may have had like a good run in your relationship, and all of a sudden it's now complete carnage. Like like there are these like kind of, as Christine would call them, like holy fuck moments, like where like we're like fuck like I really have to deal with this now. And like, I don't want to sound like all doom and gloom, but like the breakthroughs on the other side of the de-armoring of the heart, like until you like, it'll take you so far to like go through life closed or like slightly open but not totally open, but then that stops working. Like there's a point where that no longer is effective, and you have to go into this very intense and uncomfortable initiation of purging all of that material. And a really important note is that not everything comes up at once. So I think people can get really kind of apprehensive or maybe even a little afraid of doing work like this, because they're afraid if they open that portal and they start feeling that everything that they've repressed, everything that they have shoved down and pushed away is all going to come up like a fucking tidal wave. And that's not how it works. You will have stuff that comes up, but it's not going to be everything that you've repressed, everything that you haven't dealt with. You're going to get pieces at a time. I remember one of the first times that this really happened that was kind of quite memorable for me was in 2012. And I had gone through a breakup, and him and I had only been together for 6 months. And not that 6 months isn't a significant amount of time. Of course it is. But the depth to which I was feeling like completely shattered made no sense. Like if I looked at the theme of our relationship and what we'd experienced, like, yeah, it was sad. Yeah, I was bummed. But like the fact that I was so blown out by that did not make sense to me at all. And at the time, I had a very rigid meditation practice. So I was like getting up in the morning, meditating before I even like let myself go to the bathroom. Like, this is how like strict I was. I'm like, no, you're meditating before you can even pee. And so in one of my meditations, I'm sitting there and I'm like, what is this about? Like, why is this so intense? This doesn't make any fucking sense. And I heard this voice drop in and it said, this isn't about him. This is about all of the past relationships that you haven't processed. And I was like, fuck. fuck. And in that moment, it made so much sense. And it wasn't like all of them that I was processing at once, but it was the one that I had left in Calgary that I did not deal with. I literally left that relationship and he was in a new relationship 2 days later. So I was like, fuck you. I'm going to play that game too. So I go out and I find a new boyfriend like a week later and I hop into that and then I keep relationship hopping. And so I never really take a phase of being single until like there's enough of a buffer after that relationship ended. I think it was probably 2 years after him and I broke up that I actually had like a phase of being single and where I didn't have like any entanglements, because I'm the queen of having entanglements and like rosters and like always having a few on the go. And so it was very clear to me in that moment. I'm like, oh, I'm processing that 4-year relationship that at the time when it happened, I was so hurt that like a 4-year relationship ended and he was immediately in a relationship with someone else, but I didn't have the capacity or the support system at the time to be able to fully grieve that and process it. So I put it on ice, I stuffed it down, and I just, got myself involved with somebody else and was like, I don't care. That was like my go-to. Like, I don't care. Like, it doesn't bother me. But like deep down, it really fucking bothered me. And I never really let myself feel that until, because we broke up in 2008. And so 2008 to 2012, that's a pretty long window of time to repress something. And that's obviously not the only thing I've repressed in my life or avoided dealing with. But it was the first thing that kind of came up and I had this realization. I'm like, oh, fuck. No wonder I'm feeling so blown out here, because I'm not only dealing with this current relationship ending, but I'm also feeling the intensity of this 4-year relationship I had that ended in 2008. And the pain of that has been compounding for these 4 years. So then that makes total sense why this hurts as much as it does. And so it gave me a little bit of reprieve and a little bit more spaciousness to go into it and let myself actually cry the tears that I never got to cry when that relationship ended, be angry about the things that I never got to be angry about, and let myself move through it. And that was like the very first de-thawing. And that process took a couple months. And then interestingly enough, the relationship that had ended currently came back together. And like, that was my dumpster fire 4-year relationship. It was like, that was a whole other story, but I don't think that would have come back together if there hadn't have been an opening, because like my heart was so shut down after that happened. And he was the first person that had come into my life in a long time that I was like, oh, like you could really hurt me. And like, I really love you. Fuck, this is scary, but I'm going to go with it. I'm going to lean into it. And then, when we came back together, I'm like, I have an opportunity here to either go in guarded or go in open. And I'm like, I didn't just do this 3-month fucking purge for nothing. I'm going to go in open and like clean slate it. And so this is why we do this purge, so that you can actually go into your relationships, go into your business, go into your life open. Because unless you're going in open, you're not going to get the best that's available there. At the very best, you're going to get, something that's kind of beige. like just okay. Because like there's so much protection and there's so much like gripping happening that you're not actually like releasing and opening and letting yourself flow with wherever the relationship wants to take you, or wherever your business wants to take you, or wherever your life wants to take you. You're trying to fucking micromanage everything, and that's exhausting. And when we're trying to control everything, like we can't actually be nourished by the experiences that we're having, because there's no opening, there's no reception for it. So it's one of those things to like just keep on your radar that when you do open these portals, yes, sometimes they will feel intense, and it's because it's actually pulling up something from the past that you're actually ready to process. And that might have happened when you were 3, it might have happened when you were 13, it might have happened 3 years ago. We don't know. You don't even need to know what you're processing. You just need to actually let it roll through and let yourself purge it and move it so that you have more spaciousness in your heart to be available to life.
So true. I love the point as well. I mean, we all have pain. We all have shit that's happened to us. We all have stories. We have so many stories. We've lost. We've had people die. We've had people, we've had pets die. We've had loss. Like, if you think about life and the duality, everyone says, we're these energetic beings, we're souls coming into human form and having this 3D experience. And I do believe that. I believe in reincarnation. I believe in, that's a whole other topic for another day. But I really do believe that we come here to experience the fullness of life, and that includes hard shit. And the idea is not to live such a small life that you're trying to eliminate the hard things. And I think a lot of people get themselves into that scenario where they play really small, and they play really safe, and they play a really small game in a small pond. And they forget, it's like, you're not a fucking tadpole. You are a goddamn fucking, like, you, whatever you want to be.
Whale shark or whatever.
Octopus. Yeah, totally. Like, we forget though, right? Because it's scarier. And it's a crime to see so many brilliant people living such small lives because they have shut down their heart and they don't know how to defrost, and they don't, the process of that coming home to your natural state. And we talked about this in our money workshop the other day. Like, I was saying to them, like, you don't have to go and try to be abundant and, magnetic. You are that. Yes. You already are it. You don't have to go hunting for it. You are it. It's just starting to layer off and take off the layers and the slog and the fog, and like Windex that shit, so you can actually see yourself clearly. You can start to release the weight of all the shit that's been holding you down. And I think we come here for, I think we kind of get off a little bit on hard experiences. Like, I think our soul does a bit. It's like, okay, we know this is grit. This is grease to the mill. This is going to give us a lot of resilience. This is going to give us like our power, right? Like, if we choose to see it that way, and not from a spiritual bypassing place. But when we do this work, we are coming back into contact with who we truly are and our powers, right? Like, we really are. And because if we're going to, when we close down our heart, we're saying no to people and to life and to experiences, because it's like, I can't handle any more pain. And we have to be stronger than that. We have to say, yes, life has been hard. I am going to acknowledge that. And I'm choosing to do this work. I'm choosing to move forward. And like Kelsey was saying earlier, when you start to do that work and you create enough environmental safety and community safety and putting yourself in places where you can co-regulate, and this material does start to bubble up, I just do want to name that as well, that releasing the need for control and for the story, to understand the story, is really important. Because I think a lot of the times our minds are meaning-making machines. They want to know, why am I feeling this way? And why am I, like, what is this? So I think the process of being with yourself in a compassionate, non-judgmental way where we can just witness our experience and really try as best as possible to avoid trying to make meaning. Like, well, why am I so sad? Why am I feeling this way? Why am I having a sporadic crying fit? And why am I, like, sometimes we're like, oh my God, what's wrong with me? And it's like, no,
nothing.
Like, boo, you've done such a great job to get yourself into a place of safety that now your system is like, ooh, come look at me. Come look at me. Like, come heal me. Come release me. Because we don't want it. Everything's net positive. We don't want our bodies don't want to be holding that. The fact is bubbling up and wanting to be looked at. It's like a kid coming to me like, look at this. I got 2 things. Look at this, my hand. Can you look at this? Love it, validate it, honor it, and release it? Amazing. Like, that's the process. And again, I think the mind likes to hold on. It becomes a trap when we're like, why am I feeling this way? And it's like, if we could just allow ourselves to not have it matter and say, okay, right now there's sadness coming up, or I'm noticing anger, or whatever it is, I'm going to cry, or I'm going to go and scream into a pillow, or I'm going to go into my car and like put on rage music and like fucking 9 Inch Nails and scream at whatever, like with closed doors, or I'm going to go to a boxing class, or I'm going to go to a HIIT class. Like, whatever it is, it's just like, doesn't fucking matter. And I said this to a client the other day. She was like, what the fuck is happening right now? And I said, listen, trust the process. If you have something that has been frozen and it is like in an ice block for so long, when you start melting that, it's going to feel chaotic. It's going to feel like we're actually going in the reverse, where we're like backtracking. We're going, things are going to get worse. I'm like, because we have to blow down the foundations. And you know, if you want a blowtorch and start to really heat up, come in the club, come work with Kelsey and I in a, you know, Kelsey and I can tag team coach. We've done that before, where we can coach people in intensives and stuff. Like, if you want to move through that in a way that's really supportive and really, really nourishing, those are some ways you can work with us. But when you start to have that come up, think of it. It's like an ice. If an iceberg just broke apart, you're going to have all these floating pieces of debris, and it's going to feel chaotic, and it's going to feel messy, and it's going to feel like discombobulating to your everyday. But when you can know and trust and have the lens of like, this is great, I've created enough safety, this shit's coming up, I don't need to make a story about it, I just need to validate it, see it, honor it, and move through it, and be with that emotion as best as I can without trying to change it, hurry it up, getting it out of there. It moves so quickly because we're not in resistance to it. When we're in resistance to something, it's like whatever, you know, that saying of like, whatever you resist persists. When we don't want something to be there, it just keeps like getting bigger and longer. And so if we can just say like, oh, you know, okay, I'm got some sadness bubbling, I'm gonna go and take a fucking beat, I'm gonna be with this, I'm gonna cry, we instantly feel lighter. You know, we have to trust the process. And I think you and I are speaking about this right now and normalizing it and just sharing a little bit about how it can be really chaotic when you're doing that work. But what you do start to notice is once that emotional debris that's been backlogged in your system is processed, you instantly free up more life force energy in your body. So all the energy, like this is science, it's like around every person is called an aura, call it like, you know, there's an energetic field around people, and it inputs information and sends out information. So when we have a lot of trauma and unprocessed emotion and repressed feelings and all these different things, it like pulls our life force energy out of our field of creation and into our body to sort of hold it in. And it takes a fuck ton of energy to hold in all that stuff. So when we start to release it, it instantly pulls back more life force energy, which helps you be more magnetic, helps you manifest. It's all these pieces. Your intuition amps up. There's all of this stuff it unlocks when you start to do this process. And it's like an instant sense of relief. It's like, oh my God, I feel like 10% more me right now. And it's like magic. And it becomes addictive because you're like, holy fuck. Okay, I'm willing to go and throw on fucking America's Got Talent Golden Buzzer where the fucking kid who's like, you know, just had an amputated leg wins the Golden Buzzer. And I'm like, I'm like just crying my fucking eyes out. You know, like it becomes exciting because we understand what's actually happening. And I think you and I love to help demystify the process of the expansion journey, the healing journey, the reclamation journey, because it's like it can be confusing and overwhelming, but you just got to know, like, you've been through some shit, your body's bringing you to some safety, feel that shit. It's instantly going to unlock your intuition. You're going to have more inspiration. You're going to feel more life force energy. You're going to have more motivation. You're going to feel like just more juju when you wake up in the morning, good juju. And then the more you keep doing that, the more you're like, fuck, I'm on the right. It's like the universe being like, here's another breadcrumb. Go and do this thing. You're right. And then all of a sudden, we realize we don't have to go hunting for content and things to fix. The universe, our body, our emotional body is constantly being like, here, look at this. Here, look at this. And then we can just move through it. It doesn't have to be this arduous process of trying to figure out what the next thing to heal is. It's just like, oh, okay, I'm just going to let life bring me what I'm ready to move through, and trusting that if I didn't have the capacity to move through it, it wouldn't be bringing it up. It wouldn't be in my field.
Well, I mean, even just look at how things have unfolded for us since we started the club. Like, since we started the club in March, I guess that was. Like, you and I have had no shortage of shit come up for us, that we've been hitting these edges of like, okay, time to process this. Okay, time to feel this. Oh, yeah, here's another like nugget of pain. Go right into the heart of it. And we've been constantly, being invited to this space of inner alchemy and this emotional alchemy that is happening. Because that's really what it comes down to, is like most people just don't know how to do emotional alchemy because they were never taught. It was never modeled. A lot of us grow up in family systems where people are emotionally repressed and they've shoved down their own pain. So if you've never seen someone model how to feel pain effectively without losing relationality, without losing their sense of self, it's going to be terrifying to go into that at first. And I think one of the reasons why we avoid pain a lot of the time is just because we don't know how to feel it. And once you learn how to feel pain and you learn how to go through that alchemical process, it's no longer something that I'm necessarily afraid of. Like, I understand that life requires risk and life includes loss. So in terms of like going into a new relationship, people are always like, well, I don't want to get hurt. So it's that I'm playing not to lose versus I'm playing to win. And I don't want to get hurt will have you show up in a very specific way. And the way it'll have you show up is closed, guarded, not leaning in. You're not in the creative like faculties. You're not in your power. Versus I understand and accept and embrace the fact that life includes loss. That this relationship, even if I give it my all, there's no guarantee that it's going to work out. And even if it does work out, nothing lasts forever. And this relationship will end, either by choice or by death. But it is going to end. And once I've made peace with that reality, then I can go in from a place of power. I can go in from a place of, yeah, I'm going to create my life alive. I'm going to create this relationship alive and give it everything I've got. And even if it doesn't work out, there's still something really beautiful that I will have experienced as a result of going all in. Like, I don't look back at any relationship I've had and see that as a failure or a regret. I was talking in a songwriting session today. I was like, the only regrets I ever really have are the things that I didn't let myself do, or the things I didn't let myself have. And it's not about the things that I actually did go into. Like, I never regret those things because there's always lessons, there's always growth, there's always these beautiful experiences that happen inside of them. And so when I got better at processing my pain, I no longer was like approaching relationships in life from this defensive place. I was no longer looking at it like this thing is going to hurt me. Instead, I'm like, well, getting hurt is just part of the process. Like, as someone who used to play sports, if you go into playing sports thinking like, I never want to get hurt, well, you should never get on the fucking field because you are going to get hurt. You know, whether someone kicks your shins or shoves you and pushes you, or like the ball hits you on the side of the face, like whatever it is, like there's going to be hurt and pain that's part of that process. But ultimately, you know, if you want to win the championship, you need to learn how to work with that pain. You need to learn how to maneuver with it. You need to learn how to recover from pain. And in the relational world, that is something that it can feel really spicy, because when you experience pain as an adult in your relationships, what it's highlighting is the pain that's unresolved from your childhood, your adolescence, and, you know, all the years leading up to this moment that actually went unresolved or uncared for or untended to. And that's why it's so spicy, not because the thing that's happening in the moment is necessarily like so intense, but because there are other versions of you in the past that didn't get the tender loving care, that didn't get the responsive parent, that didn't have the adult around them who was open themselves and who could sit with your pain. You know, I remember my first heartbreak, and, you know, bless my mom, I love her so much. And I remember she was like, don't worry, like there'll be other loves. And it was kind of dismissed. And I don't think she meant it in a dismissive way, but it was really dismissive. Mm-hmm. It didn't honor the fact that I was aching, that I was destroyed in that moment, that I was so blown out. But I also, like, knowing what I know about her and the things that we've been able to unpack in our relationship, I'm like, well, gosh, that makes sense. Like, no one ever sat with her in her pain. And the fact that she could even have that conversation with me, I want to commend her for that, because given the conditioning that she had, it was a fucking miracle that she could even have a conversation with me about it. But we can also see how that still, it wasn't quite attuned. It wasn't quite in that spot of like, yeah, this hurts, and let me sit here with you in it. Like, I know it hurts, and I'm not going anywhere, and like, let's just feel this. Because that's what I needed in that moment, was just to have it validated, to have it recognized, to have someone like be with me in it, and to cry and to purge and to be like, this doesn't make sense. And for someone to be like, yeah, it doesn't make sense. And it hurts, doesn't it? And I get it. I'm not going anywhere. And so we know that there are these kind of landmines from our past that are going to get activated as we go down this journey. And that's why sometimes these things are so spicy. But when you go into a portal of feeling it, and the first time you do it will probably be the scariest. And then once you get to the other side, you're like, shit, I didn't die. Like, oh my God, I'm okay. Like, wow, okay. It wasn't a tsunami that I'm going to drown in. It was uncomfortable. It was shitty, all those things. But like, I made it through to the other side. And so that starts building trust within yourself. If you can do it once, you can do it again. And then as you build up that trust and rapport with yourself, and you actually start to alchemize some of that old undigested pain and old undigested debris, you no longer feel so afraid of the pain that's inevitable in your future, because no one's getting out of a future that has pain in it, or that doesn't have pain in it. Like, your future will 100% have pain in it. And also, it doesn't have to be the thing that stops you from leaning into creating the most incredible life that you could create for yourself. But it just makes you more adaptable. It makes you more flexible. It allows you to meet those challenges or those moments with ingenuity. And you can create new possibilities from the breakdowns that happen, or from the pain or the challenges that you will face in the future. And like, in the club, we are not about denying reality. Like, this isn't some fluffy, you know, spiritual woo-woo bypassing bullshit where we're like, yeah, everything is awesome and it's amazing and like nothing bad will ever happen to you ever again. Like, that's not real. That's not life. That's literally living in a fucking fantasy. And we want you to be able to live in reality and create powerfully in reality. Because that's where all the magic happens anyway. It doesn't happen in Fantasyland. Anyway.
I love Fantasyland.
I mean,
love Fantasyland.
Yeah, who
that
doesn't?
Was my favorite. That was my favorite for so long. I am Delulu, Lulu. If I just ostrich my head in the sand, then and I just I hang out in delusional land, then
yeah,
okay, right?
Yeah.
I also just want a presence that when you're doing this work, a really helpful tip and tool is to, this is going to sound so unhinged, spend a lot of time with your hands on your body. Bear with me, guys. Okay, this isn't like a funny, like, just masturbate all day. This is just, what I'm saying is that the reason oftentimes we don't want to feel things is because somatically in the body, it can feel very spicy, like Kelsey said. Something comes up and it feels really overwhelming. And because the body sort of is a record of the past, it doesn't know what's happening in the present moment. It's not sort of aware. It can kind of block us from closing out some of these experiences. And like I find we have a very low tolerance for pain these days, a lot of people. And so the more we can have micro tolerance for more pain, and I find for me personally a really helpful tool over the years that it works better than anything, is if I'm experiencing something, if it's anxiety, if it's something's triggered, if I feel anxiety, if I feel sadness, if I feel anger, it's like putting a hand on my heart, hand on my belly, or noticing where in my body there's a lot of tension, noticing where the sensations is, like just being present of like, oh wow, my heart is really racing right now. Okay, I'm having a lot of like buzzing energy. Okay, like just noticing and putting my hands on my body, because instantly what happens is the body needs to be shown, not told, that it's okay, right? We tell ourselves, I mean, I did this for years. When I went through my crazy health crisis in 2018, I was having panic attacks and I couldn't drive because I would like have a panic attack driving because it was overwhelming thinking what other car, like I've never experienced anything like it. My body totally broke down and I couldn't function. I had crazy adrenal fatigue, and they even had me on one of those like heart rate monitors because my rhythm of my heart was so out of rhythm, which is crazy. Shit. Like I was so fucked. I was destination fucked during that year. And pneumonia, I had shingles. I was like, what the fuck is happening? I'm in my like mid to late 30s and I have shingles. Like, what is happening? My body was just in total breakdown. But I found that I kept trying to tell myself during that time, like, it's okay, I'm okay. It's okay. Like, and the more I did that, it actually like built the anxiety. So I actually found over the years, one of the processes I do, and we do this in the club when I'm leading the group through some processes in like in our workshops and stuff, is like getting people to actually put their hands on their body. It instantly sort of calms the body down, and we're basically like telling, you know, you might want to tap, you can like just push, you can actually like, sometimes I'll press, if I'm feeling like really anxious, I'll just sort of like push, almost like hit my chest a little bit and like bring myself into the present moment. But we're just showing our body and we're calming it down. It's kind of like a warm hug. We're just saying like, hey, I see you, having a moment, I've got you. But I find it's like the fastest way to actually come back into regulation if I'm feeling really dysregulated or anxious, is we're sort of saying like, hey, I'm with you. Like you said earlier, like we needed and wanted caretakers to be there for us in a loving way, right? Unconditionally, and to show us what it looks like to process emotions. And for a majority of people, it's very rare to have that happen. So essentially what we're doing, and the way to move through this and to heal some of this stuff, is to a lot of hands on body, showing yourself, being presencing it, and being that, essentially that parent. Call this reparenting, but it's like, and I know you do this beautifully, Kelsey, but it's like showing ourselves and being the loving, sort of ventral safe person to hold that experience without judging it, making it wrong, and just being like, and having a lens of curiosity and like compassion. And a practice I've been doing is like making myself right. Like I've given that as homework before. I was like, how can you be your own best ally? How can you make yourself right? So if you're having a bad day, you're having an experience where you're like, oh, I'm anxious, rather than saying like, what's wrong with me? Why am I anxious? Oh God, blah, blah, blah. It's just like, okay, yeah, I'm anxious. That makes a lot of sense based on what I've experienced today. I had a really hard day. And like that alone is like you and you creating connection. And when you and you create connection, you all of a sudden don't need other people as much to validate you, to be there for you. And again, I'm not suggesting lone wolfing stuff, but when we can start to do that practice, really, really powerful. So like that's just another little helpful tool as you're doing this defrosting process. And especially if you feel that pain, a lot of pain in your heart, or you feel really numb in your heart, putting your hand on your heart periodically throughout the day, just making it like a 20-second practice, a 10-second practice. Like, hey, like how are you? Like, are you, how are you doing? It's like, how locked, I'll even do that sometimes where I'm like, how much armor is on here? And what does the armor look like? What does it feel like? Okay, cool. It's cold, it's heavy, it's gray. Like, just some of these processes are really, really helpful just to come into, it's creating intimacy. Like, you and I can't talk about this enough, but at the end of the day, the fastest way to heal and to expand and to consciously create and build these beautiful dream lives is to be intimate with yourself and your experience, and to validate yourself, but also not sit in the swamp, as Kelsey would say, not sit in the swamp and milk the swamp, but just being really loving to yourself. Because when we can do that, our system feels safer. When our system feels safer, it feels more open. When it feels more open, we have different experiences. We show up in different ways. We have different behaviors. We speak differently, right? Like, it affects and impacts everything. Like you said on the dating, to your point about dating, you see it, I'm sure, more than I do, because that's really your area of expertise. But I've heard friends, and they're like, oh God, there's just no good men out there, and God, they're all fucking this and this, and they just go into these bitch sessions. And I just, there's been times, depending on the person, where I might just say, like, depending on how self-aware they are or how much, it's sort of like, hey, like, but throwing on that lens of curiosity of like, okay, so if you believe that to be true, how do you think that's going to impact the way you show up on a date? Yes. Right? You're going to show up, if you're really closed off and you think there's no good men and they're probably going to fuck off and anyways, and they don't really care about you, and they're probably dating 10 other people, whatever, you're going to go into that very first date with a very closed off, very rigid, very like whatever
prove
energy.
Yourself to me.
Prove yourself. Yeah, and it's very like, who the fuck? No man's going to be like, oh God, you're so sexy. I just want to lay you down and take care of you. Totally. God, I love how much I'm being projected on right now. This is amazing. And men, listen,
give me more of your shadow.
Totally. Men and women are not.
Shadow shit all over me.
Totally. I love this. Hey, if you're really kinky, I mean, whatever.
Yeah, maybe.
Whatever floats your boat. But I think that it's just, we have to realize how much our closed off energy, especially as women, really impacts us and the way that we show up. Because again, it's really easy. I used to love this as well, the self-fulfilling prophecy. It's like, I believe something to be true. I show up in kind of a snarky, shadowy, or closed off energetic. The person responds to that, obviously. Then we co-create a very shallow, loose, non-committal relationship. And then then it's like, it doesn't work out. Shocker. And then it's like, see, more evidence. Then we get to case build against the fact that there's no good people. So we really do have to take self-responsibility for our pain, for our past, so we're not projecting it and sort of sabotaging a lot of what could be really beautiful connections, right? And it's just this work it's just so important. It really is. It ripples into everything that we do, and we want to be. And like, I know as women, like, there is a part of us who wants to be taken care of. There is a part who wants to know that there's like a protector. There is a part of us who just wants to know, not even like, there's been times like I was really in that, I could do it all myself. I don't need you. I don't need a man. I don't need, like, I totally was in that. I was in like, I don't fucking need you. Guess what I'll do? I'll fucking prove to you how capable I am.
How much I don't need you.
Let me tell you how much I'm going to go over function right now, because I don't need you. And I still see this show up here and there. I mean, way less. But I notice the part of me who, snaps back with something or says some comment that, like, isn't true and real. It's like, rather than saying, like, hey, I'm upset about this is, I could just say something kind of snarky or something that's just a little shadowy. And it's it's a work in progress. And because I'm in the arena right now getting real life content, it's just like, I don't know. There is a part of me who has been, because I have been hurt. And even though I've done a lot of alchemy around that and clearing of that, there still is that, like, I'm building disconfirming experiences right now, and that's beautiful. But there is still that, like, I can feel it when the part comes on, and it's like, don't let this person in, because what if they leave, and now I have to, I hear those conversations, or what if they don't like you, or what if you're too much, or what if one day it doesn't work out, and I have to keep reminding myself of, like, Christine, that's like my inner child coming online. I could say, like, listen, I know we have a lot of shitty experiences. We have a lot of evidence around people not showing up for us or being there for us or caring for us the way we need. And this is different. Look at all this evidence. And if it, for some reason, doesn't work out, like, you know, whether it's you and I as a business partnership, whether it's me in a relationship, whatever, it doesn't, you could apply this to anything. There's a part of me who's like, but I know that I'm stronger than that. And I know that I can handle disappointment. And I know that I can handle a bit of pain. And will it suck? Yes. Would I be devastated? Sure. But am I going to make it mean that I don't get myself ever in the fucking game because of it?
Exactly.
No. I'm sure as shit not going to be sitting on the sidelines to my life every day. Hell to the fucking no. So if it means I go in and I get bitch slapped and I get a fucking ball kicked in my face and I fucking break my nose and I've got like blood pouring me, like, sure, but at least, you know, at least I got in there, right? And I think, again, we kind of are like, well, that's my limitation of pain and I'm good. And, you know, I think that is the beautiful thing, that you and I have both had lots of heartache. We've had lots of things not go right for us, but we have done the emotional processing of it so that we can return back to the game stronger, more wise, more powerful, clear communication, asking for our needs to be met, like all of these pieces, so we can then co-create the powerful dynamics. So I just want to say to anybody out there, like, don't let that initial pain, like, you're so much bigger than that, you're so much greater than that, and don't, like, it's a crime to let that be the reason you don't get back in the game, because that was just the grease for the mill. Like, that was always to help prepare you for what you're here to do. But we get stuck at level 1 on the video game. Like, no, we gotta go right, we gotta fucking go right to the end.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? And at every layer of our expansion, new stuff will bubble, because it's like, it wasn't relevant before, but now you and I, we're building this brand. The brand is getting bigger. You know, we just got our first podcast sponsor. That's exciting. Like, we have all these exciting things starting to happen. But again, every time there's a new level of, like, the video game or new level of expansion, there's a new level of risk, because the higher the risk, the higher the reward, like these pieces, right? Like, the higher reward, the higher the risk. The flip side of whatever we're building, we could lose it. So there's, like, these pieces that naturally bubble up, you know, still for us. And even if you've been on this journey for a long time, you've been on the healing journey for a long time, there's still stuff that's going to bubble up. And it kind of is like the new layer, the new level unlocks a new piece. You know, a new piece to look at that's going to help you in your evolution. It's like the one thing cock blocking you from the thing you want. So it's like this process of, if you can go in and do the deep clean, if you walk into a home and it's been abandoned for fucking, it's been locked up and there's fucking mice and there's fucking crazy giant spiders and shit rolling around, and fucking squirrels, and you got a nest of fucking eggs, you're going to be like, what it's going to feel terrifying. Totally. You're going to need to call in some fucking help. You're going to need to call in Club Unhinged, the exterminators. You're going to have to call in fucking your people.
Contractor.
Say, listen, this is kind of fucked. And so you might, you know, we go in and do that. But think about it after that. Once that's been done, the expansion game becomes fun, because it's like, okay, well, cool. Yeah. Oh, I walked into that room. Shit. That, you know, I was just dust collecting. Oh, look, there's a little bit of a, you know, little fucking baby spider in the corner. I forgot to go in, you know, clean out. And so we go and do that work. But then again, it doesn't become so arduous. It becomes actually this fun piece around, like, oh, something big just happened. Ooh, I wonder what's going to pop up. Pops up. We move through it, because we're not afraid as much. We know we've trained our systems to handle fear and to move with it anyways. And we can only get there if we do that initial defrost and that cleaning out. Because honestly, when we do this work, you guys, you're willing to step into it and do the work, I mean, I'm telling you, like, the fucking sky is the limit. You are unfucking stoppable. It literally unlocks fucking magic. Nothing short of magic. Yeah. Like, life goes from want to fucking
to
magic. To fucking get me on the roller coaster, take me on the ride, like, fucking
let's fucking go.
Let's fucking go, energy.
Let's see how good it can fucking get. That's really our overarching motto in the club, is like, let's fuck around and find out and see just how good it can get. And in order to get there, you've got to clean it out. You've got to clean out everything that is going to try and pull you back into mediocrity, pull you back into the beige zone, pull you back into not taking any fucking risks in your life, whether that's in business, whether that's in your career, whether that's in your relationships, whether that's just in your life in general. Like, if your soul is like, bitch, we need to move to another continent, and you're like, no, I'm too afraid. And like, you never actually let yourself live. When you're on your fucking deathbed, you are going to have the biggest regret, because you're like, fuck, what if I had actually done that thing? What if I hadn't have been so like fucking afraid? And what if I had actually done the alchemy that I needed to do in order to clear out that fear, clear out that pain, so that I could create my life so powerfully and so on purpose? And that's really what we're here to serve. And, you know, like Christine said, like, this journey is not linear. So even though you might clean out, you might still revisit certain themes over and over and over. And that doesn't mean you're doing it wrong either. It just means like you're at a new level of the game. And so there's a new level of integration with that theme or with that lesson. And because I see that a lot, like, I thought I dealt with this and I thought like I was over this. I'm like, well, yeah, at that level you were, and now you're at a new level. So there's other layers to process and digest. And there are going to be certain themes, like for me, that are going to circle through my entire life. I'm not trying to eradicate them. I'm just, you know, building the resilience so that when they do come, I know how to work with them. I'm not trying to get rid of them though. So like that betrayal wound is an imprint, and it's likely always going to be a bit of an imprint. And that doesn't mean that I don't lean into relationships because, you know, I've been betrayed in the past. But it does mean that that's an area of sensitivity for me that I need to be responsible for. And that I will meet that in different edges and in different ways, and that's okay. I'm not trying to get rid of it. I'm just trying to build a relationship with it and come into intimacy with it so that when it does happen, I can befriend it and be like, hey, old friend. Like, let's sit here and have a little chat. Like, let's sit here and let me love on you. Like, what do you need from me? And what do we need to feel? And what do we need to process? And what do we need to let go of? Instead of like banishing it to the shadows and banishing it to the basement and being like, get the fuck out of here. I never want to fucking see you again. Like, that's not going to go over very well. And it'll just keep coming up in a much more aggressive way when you reject it. So like, and I think this is why people also have like such a big fear of rejection, because they're constantly rejecting themselves all day long. They're constantly rejecting their emotional world and their past and their pain. Like, if you reject your pain, you are going to have a fear of rejection in relationships, because you are going to project that onto the other person, that they're going to relate to you the same way you relate to you. And so when you start cleaning this up, you'll notice that your experience and perception of other people changes, and that relationship to being rejected changes. And if someone says, hey, we're not a match, like, hey, we're not a match. That's all it means. It's not, you know, some comment on your lovability or your worthiness. It's just, yeah, we're not compatible. And that's okay. I'm not going to be compatible with everybody on the planet. But until I clean out some of that deep-seated pain, I'm going to take every rejection as a fucking hit, as a personal attack. Then that just gives me more evidence to armor up my heart. So like, we can see how this can snowball really, really fast. And that's why we really encourage you to get in spaces where you are held and you are supported, so that this doesn't get, you know, out of control. It doesn't like gain so much momentum that you have to, you know, get in there with the pickaxe and, you know, all of the heaters, and like it's a full-on carnage fest. Like, we want to keep you in the pocket of maintaining your openness, maintaining your opening, and maintaining, you know, the ability to stay in the fucking game. And whether you come into the club, or, you know, the club doors aren't open right now, so you can join the wait list, or you can come into the daily coaching club, which, you know, is a private podcast that we have. And that is the most perfect way to stay in the game until the club doors open, because every day you have a episode from me or from Christine in your ear reminding you who the fuck you are. And it's only $30 a month. So like, this is a no fucking brainer to me.
Every day.
No brainer. Like, get in there and stay in the game, because the world needs your magic. The world needs your light. And, you know, we need more people who are willing to be brave and to process their pain and to stay open in the face of a world that is like, the game of the world is like, let's see how open you can be in the face of conditions that would tempt you to close. Like, that's the ultimate temptation, is to stay open in a world that it's set up to have you close. It's set up so that you don't win. And we want you to kind of see beyond the fog there and see beyond the veil and be like, oh wait, no, I just don't subscribe to that. I don't subscribe to that game. I'm unhinging from that game, and I'm plugging into the bigger universal game that, life is friendly and it's for me. But I have to really expand my paradigm here, and I have to play differently, and I have to stay in the fucking game. So we want that from you.
Well, that feels like...
Yeah, that feels complete.
That feels complete. Now, friends, we are not going to tell them too much, but should we give them a little tease about the tequila talk?
Oh, yeah. Let's do it.
Friends, Kelsey and I... You're going to die. Kelsey and I have this dream of like doing a tour, but we're not doing it yet. But we really feel like in 2024, we need to kick this off, this idea that we've had for a little while. So we're going to do it virtually. We're going to do a live Zoom podcast recording. We often do it on Riverside, but we're going to do it on Zoom so that you can join us and you can party with us. It's going to be in December. Middle of December, and we are going to do it on a Saturday afternoon around 4 o'clock PST. I believe we decided somewhere around there.
Yeah, 3 or 4, I think, yeah.
3 or 4, yeah, something in the afternoon. Pre-party vibes, where you're going to come on, join us, and Kelsey and I are going to be, are you ready for it? Setting up our podcast with you in the room. We're going to take a shot of tequila each. So you get to watch our faces as we're like, wah. And then we are going to sip on margaritas, and we're going to fucking riff with you on the podcast. Kelsey and I are going to do a live podcast recording. You're going to be there with us. We're going to be drinking tequila and drinking margaritas, and we're going to see what fucking unhinged shit comes out of our mouth. Because I don't know about you, Kels, but when I drink tequila, my fucking channel opens up, and I am on fucking fuego. So, like, it's going to be so fun.
Oh, man. Tequila just makes me super horny, so I'm probably going to make all sorts of like crazy jokes and be ridiculous.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that for me.
Yeah, it's good news for you.
I mean, we just have the best time, and I think, again, we're doing this because I think personal development really shits on fun and can shit on, things being, oh, that's so bad, you shouldn't do that, and there's a lot of like shaming around certain things. You shouldn't drink, you shouldn't do these things, and I mean, I'm a big in general in my life, I have a lot of moderation. I have a lot of balance. I feel really grateful for that. I know for some people they don't have that. And, but we do. And so we're going to invite, and you don't have to fucking come on Zoom and drink with us if you want to.
You can have a mocktail. You can have tea.
You have a mocktail. You have tea. But
live your life, girl.
It's just around, live your life, but it's around creating fun and community and just normalizing and being playful, normalizing, being relaxed, being playful, being fun, being a little unhinged. Yeah, full range. Kelsey and I are very full range. We can go into like deep, soulful fucking talks, and then we can go completely off the rails and just be fucking laughing at each other and flashing each other and all sorts of sending each other like OnlyFans type photos. I mean, we're very full range. And so we're going to do this with you. We're super excited. Our dream, I think, is to do this on like a live, travel and do this live.
With you, and we are going to go all in. Yeah.
So we're pumped. We're pumped. We're bringing that to life. We've got some fucking tequila lined up. We're going to have a nice juicy bottle. You get to watch us. We'll cheers. We're going to pour from our nice reserve tequila, and we're going to have a fucking party with you. So details will be out. Details will
shortly.
Be out soon. Yeah, shortly.
Keep an eye out for Tequila Talks with Club Unhinged.
Gotta order some special tank tops.
Special tank tops, all the things. And by the time this episode comes out, we'll also have the page open for our next mini training, so you can hop on to the show notes and you can sign yourself up for Tequila Talks. You can join the daily coaching club. You can come into our next mini training because we're doing boundaries for the holidays, something like that.
Oh, we're doing a fucking sign. This mini training is going to be off the fucking chains. It is going to be so good. because we're doing a very fun, exactly, boundaries for the holidays. But we're going to give you a fucking real life science experiment where you are going to see how powerful you are. So we're going to give you a process that you're going to take into your holiday season, whatever you celebrate. You know, a lot of times it's very loaded for people with family members and people and triggers and all that. And we are going to show you, we're literally going to give you the playbook, the super simplified, easy as fuck playbook on how to create a completely fucking different Christmas or whatever you celebrate, where you're going to come out and you're literally going to be fucking, how do I email these bitches? How do I DM them? Because I got to tell them they were fucking
what
right.
Happened?
Because we're going to, what happened? I had a totally different experience. So we're going to show you how to be a badass conscious creator and to see those results through this little science experiment we're going to give you. You're going to see it and you're going to be fucking hooked. You're going to be like, OM Jizzle, I am so powerful.
Get me in the club.
Get me in the fucking club. Get me in the club.
So all those details will be in the show notes, so you can go check those out. And thank you for sticking around with us today. We went a little longer than we usually do, but that felt like a really important journey that we went on today. And I just want to acknowledge you for sticking it out and sticking around and staying with it. And if you could stay with this entire podcast up until the end here, you 100% have exactly what it takes to sit with the emotional alchemy that your system is going to ask you to do on this journey. And we've got you and we believe in you and we love you so much. And thank you for being here today.
And also just sidebar, everyone, Tequila Talks is free. It's a free event, you know.
Yeah, that's true.
It's a free event. It's just fun, and it's gonna be a fucking vibe.
Yeah, just come kick it with us.
We're gonna do it, afternoon. Yeah, like a fucking 3:00 like Zoom party. Are you kidding me right now? Like, how immaculate is that? Right before you go out, fucking pregame.
Yeah, it's always 5:00 somewhere. So
totally. Oh,
babies.
Bottoms up.
All right, well, we will wrap it there. And if you liked this episode and if you had, any breakthroughs, insights, we'd love to hear them. So reach out to us, let us know, share on social media, like, subscribe, rate the podcast, share it with a friend. All of those things, we deeply appreciate that and deeply appreciate you. And we will be back next week with a new episode. Bye, friends.
Love you.
All in all, we want to say thank you for being here. We love and appreciate you so much. And if you liked today, give us a 5-star rating. And we'll see you next week.
And share it. If you know somebody who needs this in their life, share this shit. Abundance goes round and round. We love you.
We love you. Bye.